I don't know how many pulls this is gonna take. Let's just give it a go, and then we can kind of adjust our start procedure from there. I bought this motor for a boat project that ended up taking me way longer than I expected, so I haven't run this yet. I took it out of the box, put it on its stand, and parked it for the last year. Now that the boat project is as far along as it is, it's time to get the outboard motor set up so we can test this boat out on the water. To set up these Hangkai outboards, there's only a couple things you need to do before you can run it. The first, and definitely most important, is to make sure you add lower unit gear oil to the outboard. It does not come pre-oiled, so if you don't add this and you run your motor, you're gonna shred your gears and ruin the new motor. So this is the screw we're gonna be using right here. I just have a regular flathead screwdriver. I'm gonna see if this is enough to open it up. So we'll just go ahead and get this screw out of here. Now we're gonna go ahead and open the fill port. All right, so now that I have both screws open, we're gonna go ahead and see if one of these fittings fit onto the screw here. Now, technically these are clones of Yamaha engines, so a Yamaha fitting should fit. Now that I have the adapter screwed on, I'm gonna go ahead and screw on the pump. This will thread right onto the adapter. I'm using a full quart of this Startron. And now we should be able to unlock the pump head. That's screwed in there. There we go. All right, so now we are ready to fill the lower unit gear oil. We have our adapter attached to the fill hole, our pump attached to our lower unit gear oil, and the oil level hole is open. So now we're gonna pump until this fills all the way up and weeps out of the top. See, coming up the hose there. Now I'm just sitting here pumping until we get it to come out that top hole. It takes a lot more than you think, even for such a small outboard like this. There we go. All right, so give it a couple more pumps to get any air bubbles out of there. Okay, so now most of the air bubbles are out. Now we're gonna get our screw, and now we can go ahead and screw that down. And then now we need to get the bottom one on, but we just got to be quick about it because once we let this bottom adapter off, it will leak some, but not a lot. All right, and just screw it in with your screwdriver here. All right. Now with those two holes plugged, I'm going to go ahead and clean my hands up and then all the oil off the outboard. Get these fully tightened down, and then we'll move on to the next step. I used the Better Boat lower unit gear oil kit. This thing worked really well. It had the exact adapter I needed, so this is an easy recommend if you guys need one that works for this outboard. I'll also throw a link in the description for the gear oil I used. It's nothing special, but it does work for this outboard, so I'll have that down there for you too. Now, if you guys are also interested in the boat that this outboard's gonna be going on, I have a full playlist from start to finish on this build, from when I picked it up from Facebook Marketplace to how it sits now. All right, so now that the lower unit gear oil is done, let's go ahead and pop this cover off and see what the actual outboard looks like. I haven't even had a chance to play with this since I got it unboxed. I literally just parked it, and that was it. I mean, overall, it looks really clean. Brand new, so it shouldn't look disgusting in there or anything like that, but for being a Chinese knockoff, it really doesn't look too bad. Fuel filter, oh shoot, looks like there's gas in there already. Ooh, I hope that's not bad for the carb. I was hoping it would have been run dry. Probably should have taken a look at that before I parked it. Hopefully the gas in the carb hasn't gummed up at this point. All right, so now before we get anything hooked up with the fuel line, we need to mix our gasoline to make sure there's enough oil for this to run, not only during its break-in, but in general, you need to add oil to your gasoline for running a two-stroke engine. All right, so last step is we're gonna shake the container, make sure all that oil gets nice and mixed up. And then now we can hook up our fuel line. So we're gonna go ahead and depress that clip right here and thread this on. And then we're gonna undo this vent here. We wanna make sure we do that vent screw or else you'll be unable to let the fuel flow from the tank into the outboard. Now, last couple steps, we're gonna pump the bulb until it is firm. You'll be able to feel it when it starts grabbing the fuel, which it is. You can also see it pushing into the bowl here. You can see that right there. It's pushing into that fuel filter bowl. And that blue color is the mixed gasoline. It's interesting they ran it without oil at some point. Okay, so with the water running, we want to make sure it's in neutral. We want the choke out. I'm gonna put the throttle at about a quarter or so. I don't know how many pulls this is gonna take. Let's just give it a go, and then we can kind of adjust our start procedure from there. Okay, well that was a lot easier than I thought it was gonna be. Okay, I'm not really sure how to turn it off. Usually there's a stop button down here, but it looks like I gotta pull the key here. We're not getting water out of the telltale, and that could just be because we're using muffs and it's not in like a barrel or submerged. So before I run this too long, I wanna make sure that it's getting enough cooling. All right, so I found this tall trash can. It puts the water level right where it needs to be for the water pickups. Those are right under this lip here. So I'm gonna let this fill up pretty much until it's spilling over. Gotta make sure we have cooling or else we'll overheat it and then you destroy it. Okay, so the telltale shoots out right here. So we should see a stream of water coming out that way, hopefully. Give it a little bit more gas. Hey, there we go. That's perfect. It's not too hot. Shouldn't be. It's just started up. Yeah, that already feels cooler. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I just want to check for any kind of leaks. Oil leaks, fuel leaks, water leaks, anything. This sounds pretty good. Okay, I think you can push that down to stop it. You don't always have to pull the key. I think you can just push it down and it works the same way. Now, before I run this too much in this bucket here, I want to check out the exact break-in procedure and make sure that we're doing this right. All right, here we go. Break-in procedure. Your engine requires a period of break-in. Follow out if any of the break-in won't work. Gasoline and engine 25-1. Okay, I did 50-1, so we need 25-1. It means we need almost double the oil. For the first 10 minutes, run the engine at lowest possible speed. A fast idle in neutral is best. Next 50 minutes, do not exceed half throttle. Next 2 hours. Okay, so first thing we need to do is get more oil in here. We did 50-1, we need to do 25-1, which means we need about double the oil. So let me go ahead and add the rest of the oil to the gasoline, and then we'll start idling it and doing the first 10 minutes of break-in. So like I said, it was about double the amount of oil. I should have put in about 32 ounces instead of 16 ounces. I went ahead and added the rest to it. We didn't really run it too much, so no harm, no foul. Let's go ahead and fire this up again and let it idle for 10 minutes for its break-in period. Okay. So it's at a fast idle for 10 minutes. We're gonna get a lot more smoke now with this much oil in the gas, but that's to be expected. And also why we're gonna be changing the spark plugs out once we're done with the break-in. Okay, now that the 10-minute braking is complete, the next part of the braking you're really supposed to do on the water, because you want the engine to be having a load on it. Running it in a trash can doesn't really give it the same torque and resistance that it would if it was on the water pushing a boat. Now, since I'm not able to do that right now, I do want to try and just testing out to make sure the propeller spins. There's clearance on each side, so we should be able to run it just enough to turn it on, the prop, and then turn it off. I'm not gonna try to go crazy and destroy my trash can, but I do want to see to make sure it shifts right. Just gonna do it, just gonna blip it. Okay, that worked. Okay, it looks like it's shifting in both directions. So that's good. Now we just got to get this into the water, attach to a boat, finish our break-in. Now, one more thing I wanted to show you guys was all of the parts that came with the outboard. So it comes with this little toolkit, which I believe is mainly for changing the spark plug. Yeah, we got a spark plug socket. This threads through here to give you torque to be able to remove that. These are probably wrenches that fit specific bolts on the outboard, along with a little plier thing and then a little screwdriver handle. So that's the little toolkit it comes with. And then it comes with a bunch of spare parts, which is nice. So we got a new pull rope, head and water jackets, gaskets. This looks like the carb gasket probably. Another impeller, which is really nice. Those, I don't know how hard these are going to be to track down, so we got that. And then it comes with 2 extra spark plugs. So it already comes with extra spark plugs if you wanted to replace them after your break-in. 2 things I don't want to forget that were in there is the cotter pin. This is for your propeller, and the key. This is for your impeller. So the key is super important. This is what slots onto the impeller to make sure it can spin to do water. And cotter pins are pretty universal, but this is for changing out your prop. All right, guys, well, today's video has been a success. The outboard did run after sitting in my garage for a year. That's pretty impressive, especially considering that it fired right up after sitting. I was really worried that the gas was gonna have gummed up the carb. I didn't even know there was gas in it, but after seeing the gas in the bowl, I was really worried it was gonna have some carb issues. Thankfully, that wasn't a problem. The gas I had bought here was relatively fresh, probably about 3 or 4 months ago. I put some stabilizer in it as soon as I got it, just to make sure. So at this point, I've got essentially a full tank of 6 gallons of gas pre-mixed to the now 25-to-1 ratio for break-in. We've got to go spend about a couple hours on the water now with the outboard running at varying levels of RPMs to finish the break-in. That's going to be a separate video because I need to actually go out and get on the boat to do that. I don't have the time to do that today, but I did have the time to get this set up, so we'll be able to do the other part really soon. All right, guys, well, if you found this video helpful or just entertaining, don't forget to let me know by hitting that like button. If you want to see more videos on this outboard, the Jon Boat, or all the other things I got in store for the channel, don't forget to subscribe so you get notified when new videos get posted. Thanks for watching.